changed. Well, we're making some changes. We're always doing something new, but this is something that we had to do this, and we've had to do this for a while. So this new channel, it's really not much different, except the channel will be different. So all our new content is going on the channel, and we're going to migrate all our videos over to that channel as well, and we won't be using the old channel. So if you're waiting on that channel, you'll be missing it. So please do subscribe to our new channel, and it's real easy. Follow us on Facebook, thevoiceofstockton.org. You can find us everywhere. Keep watching us on our live streams, but that's it. We just wanted to break in and tell you that.
And let's make Stockton better together.
That's right. Make Stockton better together. All right. So, you know what? Let's start this track over because this is the best bomb song. And thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. KXVS, the Voice of Stockton with Donovan and Mr. Details, Dustin Breakwheel. This is Governor Don signing off.
This is Miriam, and you're listening to KXVS, the Voice of Stockton.
I got a picture of his face with the little pillow on, the sleep face, and we're in Chicago.
Are they already in Chicago? The one and only Leo Biaz. Hey, Leo.
I'm excited to be back, my man. It was 9 days in Vegas. We got stuck in the desert, and we had a little hangover remix out there, man.
I wore a wig to school once, and they said no headgear was allowed.
How did
Spiderweb
was it
tights.
Obvious that it was a wig?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was having fun.
Wig.
See, this is exactly why we have them on the show, and this is what makes them fun.
You're listening to KXVS, the Voice of Stockton, 92.1 FM.
My name is Josh, and you're listening to KXVS, the Voice of Stockton, 92.1 FM.
This broadcast will start in 60 seconds. This broadcast will start in 45 seconds. This broadcast will start in 30 seconds. This broadcast will start in 15 seconds. This broadcast will start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Voice of Stockton. For more information on The Voice of Stockton, go to thevoiceofstockton.org.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS, the Voice of Stockton, or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
Okay, welcome on the Monday afternoon, the Vigil show. We have a guest from Drail. I mean, this person, was the one that helped me out a lot of information of organization and nonprofit Drail. And also, I would like to introduce Jeff. I've got the last name.
Vieira.
Okay, Jeff Vieira. Okay, Jeff, thanks for coming on today on a Monday after Mother's Day. I'm sure you had a busy day yesterday. I'm sure you're probably recuperating the tiredness of going on to the next show right there, right?
A little bit, yeah. My wife wanted me to, have her favorite breakfast and lunch and, take care of things around the house. So you have to do that for the mother of your kids.
Right. You got to pamper them right away. Yep, that's true. So tell me, I've been trying to get a hold of you for a long time, and finally it's been successful. And I know you've been very busy, and I told a lot of people about this particular organization this profit. It's very unique in that way because it's focused on variety of programs that you provide, and at first I thought, it was close. I heard that it was shut down, and then later now someone didn't know it's not true. I thought you moved, and all that stuff. So now I finally got a hold of you, and the people right now have been talking about a lot of issue about ADA right, ADA accommodation. They're not being heard. They feel like the government have not been has been kind of diminish its service because of back to basic, and not having common sense of what really accommodation really means to them, and all other stuff. So we're going to talk more, and I'm sure you're going to talk about all of what we're talking to talk about. So go ahead.
Well, I think what I want to do first is kind of give you a little overview, Doug, about Drail, and reassure you that we're still very much here. As you know, you were a consumer of ours when we were at the Procisi office in Stockton.
Yeah.
And now they actually, the owners of that building sold it, and ourselves and I don't know if you remember, Department of Rehab was across the hall. They did not renew our leases, and they sold the building to Planned Parenthood. So it's now Planned Parenthood.
Okay.
And we moved to the Waterfront Towers in Stockton. So we're right on the waterfront now. And I remember that you were actually involved. It may have felt like one program to you, but it was two programs. Okay. We had a benefits specialist named Mary Ann, and she did the BPAO program, which was a benefits program, and then that program morphed into the Work Incentive Planning and Assistance WIPA program, which is now run by Alexandra. Okay. And when you heard that we had shut down, it was really for a year the WIPA program shut down.
Okay,
and
what does the WIPA program mean? It's like that's the one of your fund that gave?
It's funded by Social Security, and it's to assist people that are getting benefits and that are interested in working or working it's to assist them to understand how their benefits would be affected by work, and let them know that there are some protections in place so that they can investigate working without fear of losing their benefits. So, and it lets people know the advantages of that. The rest of Drail has always been around.
Okay.
And I probably should let your listeners know what Drail stands for. Okay. It's Disability Resource Agency for Independent Living. And that kind of explains exactly what Drail's mission is. And Drail started, it was in 1986, and the agency was not called Drail at that time. It went by the acronym MILC, M-I-L-C.
M-I-L-C?
Yeah, and it stood for Modesto Independent Living Center.
Okay.
And we received our nonprofit status a year later in 1987. And basically, Drail is one of 28 independent living centers in California, and you can find them all across the nation. And what an independent living center is, it's a consumer-controlled, community-based, cross-disability, non-residential, private, nonprofit agency. And it's designed and operated within the local community by people with disabilities. So the whole idea is that independent living services maximize the ability to live independently in an environment of their own choice, so that a person with a disability has the freedoms in the community that other people that may not have a disability have. So, go ahead, Doug.
Oh, I was gonna say something. So you have like a life coach. It's like a life coaching, right?
Well, I would hesitate to say that, and I would say more of there's mentorship involved, but part of the independent living philosophy is that it's the person with the disability who is in control. Okay. So we do not case manage like a lot of social service agencies.
So what? Okay, I'm sorry, but what difference between a social worker dealing with case management and you who do not, but yet help to live independently? So
that is a great question, Doug. Okay. And when somebody is a case manager, what they do is they say, these are the services that we're going to provide, and this is how we're going to provide those services.
So they give you an option.
Yeah, but it's their options.
Okay. Their option, okay.
Okay. When independent living centers are working with consumers, they work with an independent living specialist. And it's the consumer, it's the person with the disability who is in control. So they are the ones who are defining what their goals are, and we're helping them to build plans to achieve those goals.
Okay.
So when an individual comes to us, quite often it's with an issue. They have some kind of issue in their lives, and we help them to redefine that issue as a goal, and then we help them to build a plan to achieve that goal, and then it's the person with the disability who's off and running. Okay, now let's say a person realizes a barrier in pursuit of their goal that keeps them from achieving that goal. Then that's when Drail steps in, they help them over the barrier, and they're off and running again.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's pretty neat, because a lot of organizations have very different what do you call work, not ethic, but work. Like you said, they're different tasks of dealing with the barrier, because a lot of time it could be family, a friend, and they're like, they want to live on their own, but yet there's something that will stop them from overcoming those things, you know. For example, like, do you have clients that are mental? Do you have clients that are emotional, are deaf, or it could be autism, a client that they're not fully, you know, but they're livable in their work, you know, as far as that's concerned.
We have consumers of every type of disability. Oh, okay. Drail is considered a cross-disability agency. So it doesn't matter whether the disability is intellectual, mental, emotional, physical, hearing, vision, learning. It doesn't matter what the disability is, as long as the individual, and let me step back. We don't need proof of disability, but the individual must acknowledge disability. So if somebody were to come to us and say, oh, my friend over here has this need and he has a disability, can you help him? because we're about empowering people with disabilities to make choices and take control in their lives, they're the ones that are kind of the deciders of whether they want services and how they want them. So we don't work with the person that asked. We say, okay, can we talk to your friend?
Okay.
We go talk to the friend, and let's say the friend says, oh yeah, I need this, this, and this. And I say, what's your disability? And the person says, I don't have a disability. Okay. Technically, we cannot work with them and make them a consumer. Okay. They must acknowledge their disability.
Okay. What about people are in denial? That they do, you notice that they don't have no, like I have friends, I have family that, they have disability. They're very simple-minded, and yet they have no record of their disability. They're not aware. They just think that the doctor will go and check them out, and yet they don't define their disability. But mentally, when you see them, they're more like, have you seen the movie Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
Those type of people, that's what I have seen around a lot, and they're among us, but yet they don't identify themselves as a slow-minded disability person. They don't want to admit it, So, like and like you said, whether or not they want to get help, like you said, they have to acknowledge what disability if they don't have anything on record. And I tell them, well, you have to go to the proper rehab, and they can evaluate you or whatever, and they'll find a doctor, a state doctor, see what's wrong with you. But a lot of people don't believe that. Even the family, they won't believe that when they hear that. We already did that. That's not what that's not true if that happened.
Well, we are very open. However, because of our funding, we only have 2 criteria that we have to meet in order to make a consumer. One of them is what I had just shared. They must acknowledge disability. If there's 2 exceptions to that rule, though. That is, if the person is a minor, then the parent can be the one who seeks services with us. The other is if the individual is conserved.
What is that?
Conserved. If they have conservatorship. If there's somebody that's over their...
guardianship.
Yeah.
Okay, guardianship. I can't find the word for sure. There's time for that. Guardianship. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, the other criteria is that the person with the disability must be able to utilize our services directly. So, for instance, let's say there's an individual that has very high spinal injury, maybe C1, C2. They're on a respirator. They cannot speak. They cannot move their hands. It's still possible for them to be a consumer if we can go to where they're at and say, are you interested in Drail services? Blink once for yes or twice for no. And then usually if there's a person that has a severe disability like that, somebody has called on their behalf to get in touch with Drail. And usually that person will act as their advocate. And then at that time we'll say, are you willing to assign this individual as your advocate?
Okay.
So, and that assigning of an advocate can be enough of them working with us directly so that they can become a consumer.
Okay. So it's almost like almost like a caregiver also could be an advocate as well?
Yes.
They can. Okay. So an advocate could be any member of the family or a friend or a caregiver that can help out help the consumer, right?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. But The key is the person with the disability is the assigner of the advocate. Somebody cannot come to us and say, I'm this person's advocate. We have to get permission from the person with the disability. So, for instance, with the example I had of the person who had severe spinal cord injury, after I asked him if he would want Drail services, my next question would be, blink once if you want this person to be your advocate, or blink twice if you don't.
Right, I you know, I had to do that too. Also, when I had to do my notary, and with this guy, I couldn't speak or anything, and I told him, the parents said, "What we're gonna do? What we're gonna do?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, hold on, I have a solution." He's capable. He's capable, but he cannot able to speak. You know, he had a mild stroke and everything. So I told him, "How about blink and things like that?" I said, I don't want to hear them telling me that, because that's not my job. My job is to make sure that he's willing, doing on his own free will, and that's what I focus on. So definitely, I understand where you're coming from, but a lot of families just like overstepping their boundary with the consumer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because we are about empowering people with disabilities to make choices and take control in their lives, we expect our consumers, people with disabilities, to be involved in their goal to the extent their abilities allow them to be.
Okay. So let's say I'm a consumer. My goal is to get out of my parents' house. You know, after I got divorced, I went through a lot of divorces. My dad passed away. My dog, my support dog died. So all coming at once. You know. Okay. Now, going back to the society, I feel anxious, feel nervous. I'm afraid that I'm gonna be a survival. You know what I mean? Trying to go out and trying to feel, okay, if I could do it. But I know my mom is at that age where, you know, she's almost 75 and she's on borrowed time. Like, Mom, she always keeps telling me, Doug, I'm all the time. I want you to make it. I want you to don't, you know. And so I'm kind of like, when I have my panic attack or anxiety attack, or I have a sugar high or things like that, that I don't, like today I was going to this morning and I felt like I was feeling funny. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I was feeling fine. I was ready to go. And next thing you know, I had a teeny feeling like I felt like I had a heart attack or not. But I was like, but I had a teeny feeling. I'm like getting tired, anxious. I'm focusing on it. So I took my pill, my Clonopin pill, blah blah blah, and then I did. And my mom's like, forget about it. You know, it's like she's my mentor. She's like, oh, forget about it. You only have to live one. You know, if you're gonna die here or you're gonna die over there, and at least there are people around you. You know. And she said, oh, you're right. You know. But at the same time, it's like I always have to ask people for reassurance. I need the reassurance. You know, if I don't get that reassurance, and they tell me, you're all right. It aggravates me. It's like, is there something in my face that it is pale, it is bluster, or, you know, that's kind of that's gonna make me more worried about it, you know. But at the same time, I even try, I let people know, you know, I can relate to you. There's a difference between panic attack. There's a difference between anxiety attack. There's a difference between a sugar high, where your heart starts pounding fast and you have no control. When you take your pill, it's still there. And kind of having difficult breathing, you feel tightness, and you're going through this chemical imbalance. And the doctor tells me, well, you have this vision, you have to write it out, you know. So definitely it's a challenge too in my everyday life. You know, I just went to a night gathering, and I was feeling fine. And then I walk, and something kind of struck me, and I was overloaded with information with a lot of people around me. And doing that, was writing my information, everything. I look up and this guy was doing sign language on me. I'm like, and kind of unexpected. I go, wow. And all of a sudden I got all dizzy. You know, like, wait a minute, what's going on with me? I mean, I'm okay. I took all my medication already. I shouldn't be feeling this way. So so I checked my blood. It was normal. It was not high at all and everything. I was like, what's wrong with it? And then right away, I got too much overload and also all the warm heat coming out of my throat. So I told Brenda, and then one of my friends, Brenda, can you come walk me out and everything? I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why. I was looking forward to it, and I didn't feel anything wrong with me until now. I don't know what it is. So she went out, she said, are you okay? And she saw me singing, and told me, breathe, breathe. I'm like, and then I started, and I'm content, and then she knows that I'm not breathing. Like, breathe, breathe. Like, I'm breathing again. So I'm like, automatic in my mind, I don't know what was going on with my mind that I had to stop breathing somehow. So it was like a very overwhelming feeling. So I took my pill. I said, okay, I gotta go home. I'm gonna sleep it off. So it kind of detrimental to me. It kind of gave me what the word I'm looking for? Traumatized me.
Okay.
Feeling that when I have to face that fear, and I said, when I go to that restaurant, I said, oh my God, I just had this experience, awful experience. So it takes me a while to get back and say, okay, it was just a one-time thing. Or it could be a two-time thing, but I have to face my fear. Everything is okay.
Well,
but I'm talking about life code. I'm talking about life code. Do you offer that?
You're kind of leading into one of the services that Drail provides, but I would be hesitant to use the term life coach, and we tend to think of it more as peer counseling.
Oh, okay. Peer. That's a good choice of word.
Yeah, peer counseling. Because, number one, Drail, as any independent living center, we are controlled by people with disabilities. So we must have at least 51% of our board be people with disabilities. And Drail currently has about 50% of its employees as people with disabilities. So and you kind of nicely led into what some of the core services that all ILCs have to provide, and one of those is peer counseling. So we try to because we are ourselves people with disabilities, we will talk to our consumers and share our own life experiences as a person with a disability, with the hopes that there's a connection and that they can learn. In our Modesto office, we do have a peer support group, and it's a little bit different. I think at one time we had started one at the Stockton office, and I think you were involved at one time. Do you remember way back?
Yeah.
And it's a little bit, for me, I don't see it as being as effective as one-on-one. And the reason is that when you're a cross-disability agency, you can have a lot of people with a lot of different disabilities, and they may not be able to connect. Okay. My disability is so different than yours that it's hard for me to understand. But in the peer counseling area, sometimes we can find two consumers that are very similar, and we help them to connect with the permission of both, with the hopes that they can assist one another. But aside from that, that leads to another one of our it's now 5 core services that the federal government has listed as what independent living centers provide. And the other, what I consider our primary one, is information and referral. And that's where we try to assist individuals in meeting their needs. And when somebody comes to us, and we'll find this out quite often in an intake process or sometimes just over the phone, an individual will request some service. If we feel we're best suited to assist an individual with that service, we'll go ahead and work with them directly. However, we don't try to reinvent the wheel.
What does that mean for other people that might not know what reinvent the wheel mean? What do you mean?
We don't try to do something that another agency is doing.
Okay, got it.
So if we know of an agency that does it better than we do, we will refer them to that agency. But let's say an individual comes to us with a service. We've never done it before, and we don't know of an agency that has done it before. At the very least, we promise to research with our consumer to see if we can't get their goal fulfilled. That doesn't mean we're always successful,
right?
But at least we will try.
So in other words, you have you take the challenge and just kind of work with the consumer, better their ability, what can be compromised, whatever serving goal they should fit as well too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so we have, I've mentioned 2 of the 5 core services: information referral, peer counseling. Another one is advocacy. And we do assist people with both individual self-advocacy and systems change advocacy.
Okay.
And individual advocacy, because we're about empowering people with disabilities to make choices and take control in their own lives, we teach people how to self-advocate. Now, if their ability doesn't allow them to self-advocate, that's a barrier, and that's when we step in and help them over the barrier.
Okay. Now, you made a very good point. I kind of something that somebody's asked me to tell you. Okay, I don't know. Were you on the American Person with Disability before?
I was, yes.
Okay, and I was a very eager person to be on part of that. And did a lot of changes, and did a lot of changes when I was there. But somehow, I find out that they don't have no ADA specialists that are staffed in the city of Stockton.
Okay, that's curious.
But I was thinking, do you, are you considered an expert on ADA? Hold on. Let me finish my question. An expert on, if somebody were to hire you as an expert of staff to advocate, to empower what they need as people with disability, like for example, if I request, a lot of people they said that they already did. They have a vendor. I'm like, and they said, oh, they're expensive. They're already complaining to me. But this particular agent do not give me the accommodation that I asked for. Even though they provided an interpreter, when I was on the board, they didn't want to be in the camera. Okay, so when I go back the next month, I have to review what's been said. I have to have that information. They have audio, but there's nobody to sign. Okay. So what they did, they hide the interpreter hide, and I told the clerk, please don't do that because I cannot approve that agenda from last month. And she said, well, that's not in our contract. That's not what they're not supposed to do. I'm like, well, I'm not there to criticize their signing ability or anything like that, but I was just kind of feeling frustrated. But there was a lot of people who wanted a cart. I said, okay, I don't want to deal with it. I want a cart. He said, no, Doug, we already did your interpreter research. We're gonna have that. That's it. It's cart, no. I said, what about other people that don't know how to sign? They need to have cart too because they don't know how to sign. I have a few people that are deaf. Even I don't know if you know Diane Brunster.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Well, if you think you probably know her. She's a special ed teacher. She's retired and everything. But anyway, she would give me an idea of maybe have a cart. For people that don't know how to sign, have an interpreter. And then in school they have card and they have an interpreter, and in the same class, same thing with public meeting, you have an interpreter and the card. They have a card, but they won't do it. That's very frustrating, because it's that you need to have a vendor, and they don't have anybody to research that expertise.
There is an agency that serves the state of California that is called Pacific ADA Center.
Yeah, I talked to them. They were supposed to come here, and they were on board, but yet they called, and I had set the schedule on them a week. It was like a week ago, like it was 2 months ago, and they never showed up.
Oh, I would get back with them.
No. I went back twice on them, and
Really?
I got the recorder now.
Well, leave me a message on my office phone, and let me research that for you.
Okay.
And maybe you can become a Trail consumer again.
Yeah,
and
I like that service. I really, I mean, I really appreciate your service. Okay? I know that you did accomplish a lot, and I want people to know that Trail do provide excellent service. They provide concern with different service. They even have people with disability benefit. I mean, that's the most talk that I get from people. Where I could get it, because they're losing their Social Security. They want to know why they won't give the information. I even went to Social Security and I asked for an interpreter, and a couple of my friends also did the same thing, and they won't give it to them. They'd rather give you, write it down, right. I didn't know.
Oh, that's interesting, because I actually, of course, I can't name names, but I have a consumer who is deaf, and they made very sure to assign. Let's schedule this and have an interpreter present for him to apply for Social Security. So, and
they haven't done it to me, because I was there, because I would put my benefit. I said,
did you walk in, or did you make an appointment in advance?
I made an appointment.
And you mentioned that you needed an interpreter at the beginning?
I did too. And then I even went by, and also I went in person, and I asked the lady in the front. I said, I would like to make an appointment to see. I know I have a caseworker. I want to see my caseworker about my benefit. I said, okay. So they made an appointment. About a month later, came back, and I went in line. Do you have an appointment? I said, yeah, okay, well, I'll be with you. It took 2 hours. And when I went over there, I didn't have no interpreter right there.
Okay, well, that's another thing to bring up with me when you're in the office, because I can't say that we've had that experience. They've been pretty good in getting an interpreter. The key is that you have to make sure that you have an advance appointment.
Yeah.
Because if you try to come in and say, oh, I need to be here right now, or can you call somebody, they will not do that.
Yeah, but also there's another thing I want to also explain before we go any further. I have another deaf person that went to court, and they had it. They were already set up with a court. He requested an interpreter. When he went and showed up to the court date, they knew they had an interpreter. He was deaf. They planned that I would be there. No, there was no interpreter at that court date.
Wow.
And finally, he got mad. And you know what happened? Even the police, even the security guard had to handcuff him, because he said he couldn't hear what he was saying. You need to go. Because he refused to talk. I need an interpreter. An interpreter. He said, "Where's my interpreter?" You knew about it and things like that. And then what happened? The judge threw him out of there, and he was arrested, and he was handcuffed, and the judge was watching them. They didn't want to refuse them. So therefore, it's a lot of civil rights have been violated, and I don't know, and I feel kind of like, where is Jeff? I know Jeff could do this.
Just have him give me a call.
Yeah, but I didn't know back then that who told me to go call Jennifer Gass. Jennifer Boylan?
Yep.
Jennifer told me to call Drill, and I'm like, well, Drill closed. I said, no, it's not. He's over at Modesto. I said, okay, well, I'll call Modesto. And then when
we've been in Stockton the whole time.
Well, I didn't know that. Yeah. People told me that you moved to Modesto. Maybe I got. You can't really rely on people with hearing impaired, but still. Right. But finally, I got it. But there's a lot of civil rights have been violated so much that I just feel that when people kind of put pressure on me, and like I'm not a public official. I try to get much information that I get from you guys when it comes to my radio station, and they're listening what you're talking about, and they're getting information. That's how I know, and that's how, as a community, as Voice of Stockton, you are here, and I say, look, they have it. They have a benefit specialist. They have independent living skills. They have this and that, and I was picking one about your organization because that's what's needed. And people are all just talking about the homeless, mental health. What can we do to improve this and that? And what you're saying is like, there's a lot of things that have not been covered. What Dreo does, it's been hiding in the bin somewhere. That's why I want to bring that up.
And maybe the reason why we've had not had issues is that people have come to us, and we will get on a phone call with them as their advocate and announce ourselves as their advocate and say this individual needs, and then whatever the need is. Sometimes there are some written materials that are needed in Braille because someone has a blindness as their disability, or they're deaf.
Jennifer Gass. He went and got went and called. He wanted to go to the meeting, to the Stockton to the city hall meeting. He said, "I want to have a Braille." They made an excuse. It's been over 2 months already, and Jennifer called back and said, well, "I'm missing a meeting. Where's my?" And they don't have no. It take a vendor to make those type of special Braille.
Actually, it doesn't, because even our Modesto office, we have a Brailler, and it acts like a printer. And you can go into the application that you have the written format in, and you can assign a Brailler as the printer, and it will print out in Braille. So it surprises me that I don't know what entity Jennifer was working with, but they definitely it's not as hard as you would imagine.
But the thing is that a vendor like those, like when he say, even like when you ask them for it, when they have a bullet where ADA complied, you have to not let them know 48 hours. First it was 24 hours, now 48 hours, and then three days. Then it comes to 5 days. But yet they know. I begin to know that you have to have a vendor to make those type of special requests. Whether the Braille, because they need to have contract. They need to have contract for a captioner. They need to have contract for an interpreter. They need to have contract with the Braille thing that which they don't have provided. That's the thing. I caught them with a lie. Even Jennifer even said it. Look, they even a large tech. They don't even have that equipment either. You have to go. They think they will go to the what do you call it? Center, the community center of the blind. They call them. They don't provide that service. So where they can find it. So I said people go and test them out and see if they're doing what they're supposed to do. If they don't, let me know, and I'll definitely see it, because that's the civil right. And when somebody comes to you and they act like they kind of put you aside, ignoring you while you're trying to pretend that you're doing your research, you're not doing your research. You don't have the money to get that vendor to that particular project.
Now, with, like, for instance, a Brailler, they can be expensive, but most people that are producing the documents, they do not utilize a Braille embosser, right? They will write something in Word format, something kind of like this, and but they have embossers that act like printers. We have one at the Stockton office, we have one in the Modesto office, and it's just a matter of setting it up like a printer, and it will print the text in Braille. So now, with that said, because Braillers aren't things that people utilize at home and stuff, it's not like buying a printer for $150.
Right.
They're usually
very expensive.
10 times that. Yeah.
Right, very expensive, yes.
But entities like cities or other large organizations should have those available in print. Well, what's the answer? If they don't, give us a call and we'll help investigate that with the person who's making the call.
My good friend Jennifer always been helping me supporting the causes for people with, make sure that the city are providing those type of service and that they don't lie to their citizens and say, we have. But when I was in American Federation and I fought for it in a cart, they said they want to know how much money they earn, how much is this, how much is that. It's not because I wanted it, because Doug, you already got your interpreter. You're not going to get no cart. I'm like, it's not for me. I'm fighting for people who can't know a sign.
I do want to step in for a second, though. Okay, because those materials, even by ADA, don't have to be readily available. What ADA is that an individual that has that need asks for the accommodation.
Okay.
So you had a need, you asked for an accommodation, which was an interpreter, and you got that. If an individual needed a cart and not that, that's when it would be addressed. But the cost is prohibitive to have it available if nobody is using it.
Right. Okay.
So that's what the issue is there.
Okay. Perfect. So definitely there's a lot of things that I had to confront, and I'm glad that you came, and now people are aware that you can talk to Jeff for all your concerns. He's a teddy bear. He's a good man. He's willing to work hard.
I kind of look like Santa too, don't I?
Santa, he will do Santa for you for a while. But anyway, I think that he worked hard. I definitely seen his. I think you're passionate though. When I was your consumer, you were very dedicated with your the organization itself. I was like, wow, this guy is very
Douglas,
good.
I appreciate that.
And then definitely, and you have people that they have staff that know what they were doing, and they really appreciate advocating. They push you. They say, Doug, this is what you need to do. This is what you need. I cannot do it for you. You have to make that step.
Mm-hmm.
When I requested, when I had an argument, I had a disagreement with the Department of Rehabilitation.
I remember that.
Yeah, and
Marianne
was very persistent. Doug, I cannot talk for you. You have to talk. You have to do this. You need to.
But she did. I remember coordinate the meeting, and she was there at the meeting.
I was there, and I was so thankful that. But you know what? It's very intimidating when you have a bunch of people right in front of you that make the actual decision, and yet I have somebody like Marianne who was, who knew what she was doing and said, "I'm right here for you."
Remember how we provide our services. We help people get over the barriers and Marianne saw in you that what you needed wasn't somebody to speak for you. You needed the moral support. And that's where she came in, and that's why she pushed you. And what ended up happening? You spoke, and were able to. The whole goal is to teach people to advocate for themselves.
Right.
If you have, an anxiety disorder or something, an individual may have one, and they need to have a little moral support, that's what we're called to do. Sometimes an individual may have the same need to advocate, but they don't have the ability to voice themselves.
I forgot to sign. Sorry.
That's when we would. That's when we would step in and be the voice.
Okay.
I want to give you an example of how we provide services. Okay. So you mentioned one of our other. I had started.
We're gonna get did you have 5 out of 3?
We did. Yes, we did 3 out of 5. We touched a little bit on on advocacy, information referral, peer counseling.
Okay.
Independent living skills is, assisting people with the day-to-day, or, teaching people how to do day-to-day tasks so that they can learn to overcome the barriers that they realize and do these things for themselves. Sometimes we need to step in and do it for them. So to kind of give you an independent living skill example, let's say somebody comes to us and they have a multi-page document that they need filled out.
Okay.
The first person, maybe they have an intellectual disability. They don't understand the form, and they need help formulating their answers so that they can be understood by the agency that's getting the form.
Okay.
We would read the questions, okay? We would help them to understand what the questions mean.
Okay.
And then they would give us their answer, and we would help them to formulate their answer so it can be understood. But because the person could write, we would help them write down their answers, or they would write down their answers in the form. Okay. Let's say we have another consumer that comes, the exact same form. This person, intellectually, they're great. They have no disability. They can formulate their answers very well. But perhaps they have very high quadriplegia, where they don't have the use of their...
Hold on. I'm trying to think about how you spell quadriplegia. Oh, how you spell quadriplegia? Q-U-I...
You would ask me that. Q-U-A-D-R... A-P-L-E-G-I-A.
Okay, that's spinal, right?
Yep.
Okay, spinal. Okay.
Okay. They would read the document themselves. We may help them flip the pages, but they would read it. They would formulate their answers, and we would be the ones to do the writing.
Oh, okay.
So even if two people come to us with the same goal, how we provide those services will depend on what abilities and disabilities a person has.
Okay. Now the next one, you have the last one?
Well, there is a new one at the federal level called Transition, and we've been doing this all along, but it's more formalized, and that's where we try to assist people in getting out of skilled nursing facilities or other institutions so that they can live in the community. Or if a person's in threat of being put into an institution or skilled nursing facility, assisting them in being able to stay in their homes.
Okay.
So that's transitioning. But in California, there's two additional.
Okay.
And one of them's personal assistance services. And we don't do a lot of that in this county because this county has a public authority that does registering. If somebody comes of care providers, does registering of care providers and provides care provider lists. But sometimes people will come to us and say, I've got the max hours at IHSS. I can't get any more, but I need more personal care assistance hours. Maybe another individual is a care assistant and saying, hey, I'm looking for more work. I'd like somebody to pay me, but if they can't, I would take room or board in place of it. We might try to hook those people together. Okay. And then the last one is housing, which is very difficult in this county. Okay. But we do things like take all of the property management companies in the area and make one comprehensive list so that people can see, and we put it together maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks, so that an individual can look through that to see what housing is available in the area. We'll assist with application assistance if people have difficulty with that. that kind of stuff.
Okay, before you go there, there was one particular friend that I had that was having a hard time looking for a room. You know, not a house, just a room. I got it. I'm gonna close to the end, but we're having a room for the housing. They didn't want to have an apartment. They just want to have a room so he could go to work and go to school here and things like that. But there was, and he was deaf, and I was like, I was trying to help him all over, but I couldn't find. And but you know, a lot of people kind of discriminate whether you know, because he was gay, and everybody want to have a roommate that is gay friendly. You know what I mean? So I would here I'm calling for him with a video phone relay, and I was talking, and I was like, do you have a room for a deaf person? For he you know, he works all the time. He's never home, but he work and he go home and sleep, and that's all he does. And sure enough, it was hard to find a fella because he couldn't write because he was from Mexico and he didn't have a red card, and I'm filling out his citizenship. It was a lot of things that was going on with, you know, go on to get his 302. Now finally he met somebody, an attorney that would offer him a free service for getting his green card and things like that. But he was very frustrated. I was frustrated too because he kept giving other people the thing that I would his sponsor, and then and someone else will write for him, and he have another name. It was delaying the process because when you're dealing with this NISC, they're very strict on who are writing the application down.
Right.
So anyway, so you know, housing is, like you say, it's very important too, as far as rent to room. I think room to rent. That's what they call it. But as far as that, housing is very, like you say, it's difficult too. Also,
it's tough. It's there's not a lot of affordable housing in the area. There is one other quick thing I want to mention, which is the last service, and that's assistive technology. And you know, it's quite often Medicare will buy, if it's needed, a $10,000 power chair for somebody that needs one, but they won't get them a ramp to get in their house. Or we look for grants to fill those kind of needs. And we have an assistive technology advocate whose primary job is to make sure that people are not being denied the use of assistive technology, but also educate people about assistive technology that may be available to overcome their particular barrier. And then last, a very small piece is, you know, because the need's like this and the money's like this, but if we can, we try to assist people in acquiring assistive technology. So it's a very small piece, but it's an important piece.
Okay, well, you know what? Thank you. We're out of time, but you know, I wish you could come back again to talk more, because there's a lot that we haven't covered. Because I think definitely we need to come back again to talk more about this great agency and organization that you provide. I definitely think that it needs to be discussed again. I hope you come back again, and I would like to also how to get a hold of you, the people who want to.
We are, our main number is 209-477. I should know this by heart. 8143. And we are happy to assist.
So thank you so much for watching the Vigil show. I hope you learn, and I hope you contact Jeff for help or anything you want to talk about. He will definitely help you out and whatever he can. Thank you so much, and have a great Monday afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great seeing you, Doug.